Have you ever noticed how one split-second moment in a basketball game can completely take over the sports world? One whistle, one collision, one replay shown over and over again. Suddenly, nobody is talking about the final score anymore. They're talking about whether the play crossed the line, whether the officials handled it correctly, and whether the WNBA is being consistent when it comes to protecting its players. That's exactly what happened after the controversial moment involving Caitlin Clark and Alyssa Thomas. Within minutes, social media exploded with opinions. Some fans believed it was simply hard, physical basketball. Others argued the contact went too far. As the video spread across the internet, millions of viewers began asking the same question: what really happened, and did the league respond the right way? To understand why this moment became one of the biggest talking points of the season, we have to go back to where it all began. By the time this game tipped off, Caitlin Clark had already become the biggest story in women's basketball. Every arena where the IndianaFever played was packed with fans hopping to watch her in person. Television ratings continued to climb. Jerseys were selling at record levels. Every game attracted more attention than the one before it. With that attention came something else: constant pressure. Every defender wanted to slow her down. Every opponent knew the cameras would be following every possession. Every hard foul, every missed call, every heated exchange instantly became national news. Clark entered the league with enormous expectations after an unforgettable college career. She wasn't just known for making deep three-pointers. Her court vision, passing ability, and confidence had made her one of the most exciting players basketball had seen in years. But the WNBA is different from college basketball. The players are stronger. The defenses are smarter. The games are faster. Veterans understand how to challenge young stars, both mentally and physically. Clark knew that from the beginning. She had said many times that she expected teams to play her aggressively because that's what happens to great players. The IndianaFever were slowly beginning to find their rhythm as a team. There had been difficult moments earlier in the season, but there were also signs of real progress. Clark was becoming more comfortable running the offense. Her teammates were learning where she liked to deliver passes. The chemistry improved with every game. The team wasn't perfect, but confidence was growing. Standing on the other side of the court was Alyssa Thomas, one of the most respected veterans in the WNBA. Throughout her career, Thomas had earned a reputation as one of the toughest competitors in professional basketball. She played with relentless energy. She fought for every rebound. She defended every possession as if the game depended on it. Opponents respected her because she never backed down from physical play. Her style had always been aggressive, and that toughness helped make her one of the league's elite players. From the opening tip, it was obvious this wouldn't be an easy afternoon for either team. Every possession was intense. Defenders pressured the ball from end to end. Players battled for position inside the paint. Loose balls turned into diving scrambles across the floor. The officials allowed a physical style of basketball early, and both teams adjusted to that standard. Neither side wanted to give up an easy basket. Whenever Clark touched the ball, the crowd reacted immediately. Fans leaned forward in anticipation, expecting another incredible pass or another deep three-pointer. Defenders stayed close, trying to limit the space she needed to create offense. Every screen became important. Every cut through the lane required fighting through contact. Clark continued doing what she had done throughout her basketball career, reading the defense, making quick decisions, and trusting her teammates. As the game continued, the intensity only increased. Fast breaks turned into races from one end of the court to the other. Defensive pressure became stronger. Players exchanged words after physical possessions, something that happens in highly competitive games. Both teams understood the importance of every point. Then came the sequence that everyone would soon be talking about. The play happened incredibly fast. Clark was moving with the ball as defenders collapsed around her. Arms reached for position. Bodies came together in traffic. Contact occurred during the play, and the officials immediately blew the whistle. Inside the arena, many fans couldn't fully understand what had happened in real time. Everything unfolded in just a few seconds. Players briefly reacted before preparing for the next possession, but the television cameras immediately focused on the replay. Broadcasters examined the play from different angles. Depending on which replay someone watched, opinions quickly began to differ. Some viewers believed it was simply part of a physical basketball game. Others questioned whether the contact deserved additional attention. The discussion had already begun. Within minutes, clips of the play appeared across social media. Fans watched the replay repeatedly, slowing it down frame by frame. Basketball analysts started sharing their opinions. Former players joined the conversation. Some defended the physical nature of the WNBA, arguing that tough defense has always been part of the league. Others believed officials needed to do more to keep games under control when situations became especially heated. As more people watched the replay, the conversation grew larger than the game itself. It was no longer just about one possession. It became another chapter in the ongoing debate surrounding Caitlin Clark's rookie season and the level of physical play she had experienced since entering the league. Supporters argued that star players should receive consistent protection under the rules. Others responded that every player should be officiated the same way regardless of popularity or media attention. Sports television programs picked up the story. Online discussions spread rapidly. Every new opinion created another wave of debate. Some people focused entirely on the contact during the play. Others questioned the officiating throughout the game as a whole. Many simply wanted a clear explanation of how the officials viewed the sequence. Meanwhile, Clark remained focused on basketball. Throughout her rookie season, she had consistently shown an ability to move on from controversial moments and concentrate on helping her team compete. Rather than allowing outside noise to affect her performance, she continued playing the game with the same confidence that had made her one of basketball's brightest young stars. While fans, analysts, and commentators debated what they had seen, the attention surrounding the incident continued to grow, setting the stage for an even bigger discussion in the days that followed. As the game came to an end, the conversations inside the arena were only beginning. Fans slowly made their way toward the exits, but very few of them were talking about the final score. Instead, nearly every discussion centered around the same sequence that had unfolded in just a matter of seconds. Phones were already out. Replays were being watched again and again. Different camera angles appeared online, and with each new angle came another opinion. Some viewers felt nothing unusual had happened in a game known for its physical style. Others believed the play deserved far more attention than it initially received. Sports networks wasted no time breaking down the moment. Slow-motion footage was shown repeatedly as analysts explained what they believed had happened. Some focused on player positioning. Others discussed whether the officials had maintained control of the game from the opening quarter. Every replay seemed to reveal another small detail that fans hadn't noticed during the live broadcast. Yet despite all the analysis, one thing remained true. There was no universal agreement. Supporters of Caitlin Clark argued that this wasn't simply about one play. They believed the incident reflected a larger pattern that had followed Clark since the beginning of her rookie season. They pointed to previous games where she had absorbed hard contact while driving to the basket. They recalled moments when defenders had bumped her far from the ball or challenged her with physical pressure throughout entire games. To these fans, the latest incident became another example of the difficult adjustment Clark had been forced to make as one of the league's newest stars. On the other side of the discussion were fans who defended the physical nature of professional basketball. They argued that the WNBA has always featured aggressive defense, tough screens, and intense competition. According to them, veteran players challenged every young star in similar ways long before Caitlin Clark entered the league. They believed Clark was simply experiencing the reality of playing against the best athletes in women's basketball. The debate quickly spread beyond fans. Former players joined television panels to offer their perspectives. Some explained that basketball is an emotional game played at incredible speed, where accidental contact is impossible to eliminate completely. They reminded viewers that split-second decisions often create situations that look much different in slow motion than they do in real time. Other analysts emphasized that officials face an extremely difficult job. Referees must make decisions instantly while watching multiple players move at once. They cannot rely on replay during every possession. Instead, they judge what they see in real time, often from challenging angles with limited visibility. Many experts encouraged fans to remember how difficult officiating can be before assuming mistakes were intentional. Meanwhile, social media continued moving much faster than careful analysis. Short clips of the play spread across every major platform. Some videos included dramatic captions. Others highlighted only a few seconds of the entire sequence without showing what happened before or after the contact. Millions of views quickly followed, proving once again how powerful social media had become in shaping public opinion. As online discussions grew louder, many basketball reporters encouraged fans to watch the full possession instead of relying on short clips. Context, they argued, often changes how a play is understood. The speed of the game, the positioning of defenders, and the movement of every player all contribute to what officials ultimately decide. While the basketball world debated the incident, Caitlin Clark herself continued preparing for the next challenge. Throughout her rookie season, she had repeatedly demonstrated an ability to block out outside distractions. Whether facing criticism or praise, she consistently returned her attention to basketball. Teammates often described her as someone who preferred letting her performance speak for itself rather than becoming involved in public controversies. IndianaFever coaches also remained focused on helping their team improve. They understood that every game presented new lessons. The season was long, and dwelling on one controversial moment would not help them prepare for the next opponent. Instead, practices continued with an emphasis on execution, communication, and consistency. Across the league, players understood why emotions had become so intense. Caitlin Clark's arrival had brought unprecedented attention to the WNBA. Television audiences reached new heights. Arenas filled with fans eager to watch games in person. Every nationally televised matchup attracted millions of viewers, many of whom were watching the league regularly for the very first time. With that increase in attention came greater scrutiny. Every officiating decision became headline news. Every controversial foul generated thousands of comments online. Players who had spent years competing without constant national attention suddenly found themselves at the center of viral discussions after nearly every game involving the Fever. Alyssa Thomas, known throughout her career as one of the league's fiercest competitors, remained respected by many around the basketball community. Coaches and teammates consistently praised her effort, leadership, and relentless style of play. Her reputation had been built over years of hard work and determination, not through avoiding physical competition. Many observers believed it was important to evaluate the incident within the broader context of her entire career, rather than allowing one viral clip to define public perception. Even so, public attention continued growing. News articles appeared throughout the day, each offering different perspectives on the same sequence. Some headlines emphasized the intensity of the contact. Others focused on the larger conversation surrounding officiating standards. Radio shows invited callers to share their opinions. Podcasts spent entire episodes discussing the play from every possible angle. The WNBA itself also became part of the conversation, as fans naturally wondered whether the league would address the incident publicly or provide additional clarification regarding the officiating decisions made during the game. Whenever a highly publicized play involves one of the league's biggest stars, speculation often follows. Supporters wanted transparency. Critics wanted consistency. Everyone seemed to have their own expectations. Despite all the outside noise, one fact remained unchanged. Basketball is a game decided over 40 minutes, not one possession. Coaches constantly remind players that the next play matters more than the last one. Clark appeared to embrace that philosophy. Regardless of what fans argued online, she continued preparing for future games with the same competitive mindset that had carried her through every stage of her basketball journey. The broader discussion also raised interesting questions about the future of the league. As viewership continued increasing, many believed every controversial moment would receive even greater attention than before. More cameras, more analysts, and more fans meant every decision would be examined from countless perspectives. That level of visibility created both opportunities and challenges for everyone involved, including players, coaches, officials, and league executives. Some longtime fans welcomed the increased attention because they believed it demonstrated the WNBA's growing popularity. Others worried that constant online arguments sometimes overshadowed the incredible basketball being played on the court. Spectacular performances, outstanding teamwork, and memorable victories occasionally disappeared beneath waves of debate surrounding a single controversial play. For Caitlin Clark, however, the mission remained simple: improve every game, help the IndianaFever win, continue adjusting to the physical demands of professional basketball. Every rookie experiences growing pains, but few have done so under a brighter spotlight than Clark. Every success became national news. Every difficult moment generated endless discussion. As another practice week began, cameras once again followed the Fever. Reporters asked familiar questions. Would the controversy affect the team's mindset? Had the players discussed the incident together? What lessons could be learned moving forward? The answers were calm and professional. The focus remained on basketball rather than outside distractions. Still, the story refused to disappear. Fans continued debating officiating standards. Analysts continued comparing similar plays from previous seasons. The conversation had evolved far beyond one game. It had become another chapter in the larger discussion about physical play, player safety, consistency, and the rapidly growing popularity of the WNBA. And while everyone seemed eager to express an opinion, the next few days would introduce even more reactions from across the basketball world. Former coaches, league observers, and national media personalities would weigh in, each offering a different perspective on what the incident meant, not only for Caitlin Clark and Alyssa Thomas, but for the future direction of the league itself. Over the next several days, the conversation refused to fade. In fact, it seemed to grow larger with every passing hour. Sports television programs opened their broadcasts by discussing the play once again. Basketball podcasts dedicated entire episodes to analyzing every angle. On social media, the replay continued circulating as fans debated what they believed should have happened. It had become much more than a single moment during a regular season game. It had become another symbol of the larger discussion surrounding Caitlin Clark's rookie season and the physical nature of the WNBA. One reason the debate remained so intense was because Clark had experienced several highly publicized physical plays earlier in the season. Every new incident reminded fans of previous games, creating the impression that each controversial moment was connected to the last. Supporters argued that Clark seemed to face an unusual amount of defensive attention, while others responded that every elite player receives extra pressure once opponents recognize their talent. The disagreement wasn't simply about one player anymore. It was about how basketball should be played at the highest level. Many longtime WNBA fans pointed out that physical defense has always been one of the league's defining characteristics. Great players throughout WNBA history have battled through contact, double teams, hard screens, and relentless defensive pressure. According to these fans, toughness has always been part of the game's identity. They believed the league should never lose that competitive edge simply because more viewers were now watching. New fans often viewed the situation differently. Many had started following the WNBA specifically because of Caitlin Clark's arrival. They were unfamiliar with the league's history and naturally compared what they were seeing to other levels of basketball they had watched in the past. Some questioned whether certain plays should result in stronger penalties, while others simply wanted clearer explanations from officials whenever controversial moments occurred. This difference in perspective created one of the most fascinating discussions surrounding the league. Longtime supporters wanted respect for the WNBA's competitive style. New audiences wanted consistency and transparency. Both groups cared deeply about the sport, but they sometimes viewed the same play through completely different lenses. As reporters continued covering the story, attention shifted toward officiating. Referees rarely become the center of national conversations unless something controversial happens. but this situation placed them under an intense spotlight. Former officials explained that basketball is one of the fastest sports to officiate because multiple actions occur simultaneously. A referee must watch the ball handler, defenders, screens, and off-ball movement all at once while making split-second decisions. Several analysts reminded viewers that slow-motion replay often changes how contact appears. What looks dramatic when viewed frame by frame may have appeared completely different at full speed during live action. That doesn't necessarily mean every decision is correct, but it does explain why officiating can be extremely challenging. At the same time, many fans believed greater transparency would help reduce confusion. They suggested that more detailed explanations after controversial calls could improve public understanding. Other professional sports had experimented with allowing officials to explain certain review decisions publicly. Some wondered whether similar communication could benefit the WNBA as its audience continued growing. While discussions about officiating continued, Clark remained focused on basketball. During interviews throughout her rookie season, she consistently emphasized controlling only the things within her control. She couldn't decide how games would be officiated. She couldn't prevent opponents from playing aggressively. What she could control was her preparation, her decision-making, and her effort every time she stepped onto the floor. That mindset earned praise from many observers around the league. Even those who disagreed about the controversy often acknowledged Clark's professionalism. Rather than allowing outside attention to distract her, she continued working to improve her game. Coaches repeatedly praised her willingness to study film, learn from mistakes, and adapt to the speed of professional basketball. Her teammates also recognized the unique pressure surrounding her. Every road game felt like a major event. Every arena welcomed thousands of fans hopping to watch Clark play in person. Opposing teams often experienced some of their largest crowds of the season whenever Indiana visited. The excitement surrounding her arrival had undeniably helped bring unprecedented attention to the league. That increased attention benefited more than just one player. Television ratings reached historic levels. Merchandise sales climbed across multiple teams. Attendance increased in many cities. National media outlets that had rarely covered regular season WNBA games now discussed them almost every day. Regardless of differing opinions about controversial moments, most people agreed that women's basketball was reaching audiences it had never reached before. With greater popularity, however, came greater expectations. Fans expected consistency from officials. They expected clear communication from the league. They expected players to compete hard while maintaining respect for one another. Every controversial play now carried far more visibility than it might have only a few seasons earlier. Alyssa Thomas continued preparing for upcoming games, just as she always had throughout her career. Those who had played alongside her consistently described her as one of the league's hardest workers. Her competitive style had earned admiration from coaches and teammates for years. Many observers cautioned against allowing one widely discussed play to overshadow everything she had accomplished during her career. Basketball history is filled with moments that generate passionate debate. Sometimes opinions remain divided for years. Fans often remember controversial plays differently depending on which team they supported. What one group views as tough defense, another may view as unnecessary contact. That reality exists in nearly every major sport. As the next games approached, reporters naturally asked whether the controversy would create additional tension if the teams met again. Rivalries often grow stronger after emotional matchups, and fans were already looking ahead to future meetings. Tickets became even more valuable whenever Indiana appeared on the schedule. Many wanted to see how both teams would respond the next time they shared the court. League executives also understood that every nationally discussed moment influenced public perception. The WNBA had spent years building momentum, and the arrival of new stars had accelerated that growth. Maintaining competitive integrity while ensuring player safety remained an ongoing priority. Although fans rarely agreed on every officiating decision, everyone wanted games decided by great basketball rather than controversy. Throughout all the discussion, one important fact often became overlooked. Both Caitlin Clark and Alyssa Thomas shared the same competitive desire to win. Elite athletes reach the highest level because they compete with extraordinary intensity. That passion sometimes creates emotional moments during games, especially when every possession carries enormous importance. As another game day approached, the basketball world slowly shifted its attention toward the next challenge. Yet the previous controversy remained fresh in everyone's mind. Fans wondered whether officials might call future games differently. Analysts questioned whether defenders would adjust their approach against Clark. Every upcoming matchup now carried an added layer of anticipation. No matter where people stood in the debate, one conclusion seemed impossible to deny. The WNBA had entered a new era of attention. Every game now attracted millions of viewers. Every major storyline spread instantly across the internet. Every controversial play generated conversations that extended far beyond the final buzzer. The league's visibility had never been greater, and with that visibility came both opportunity and responsibility. As the season continued, new storylines would emerge, new rivalries would develop, and new unforgettable moments would capture headlines. But the discussion surrounding this game had already secured its place as one of the defining conversations of the year, reminding everyone just how much the landscape of women's basketball had changed as the schedule moved forward. The spotlight never seemed to leave the IndianaFever. Every game attracted national attention, and every opponent understood that millions of people would be watching. It was no longer just another regular season matchup whenever Caitlin Clark stepped onto the court. Every possession became part of a larger story, and every performance was analyzed long after the final buzzer sounded. The pressure surrounding Clark was unlike anything most rookies had ever experienced. Expectations had followed her from college into the professional game, but now those expectations had reached another level. Fans wanted highlight plays every night. Critics searched for weaknesses in her game. Opposing defenses built strategies designed to make every possession as difficult as possible. Despite all of that, Clark continued showing why so many people believed she would become one of the league's brightest stars. Her ability to read defenses remained exceptional. She consistently found teammates with passes that few players even attempted. Her confidence shooting from long range forced defenders to guard her well beyond the three-point line, creating opportunities for everyone else on the floor. Indiana's coaching staff recognized that development takes time. Building a successful team isn't something that happens overnight. Every practice focused on improving communication, reducing turnovers, and strengthening chemistry between players. Small improvements slowly began turning into more consistent performances. The controversy from the previous game, however, still lingered in conversations across the basketball community. Reporters continued asking players about physical defense, officiating, and whether the league should consider changes to improve consistency. While opinions differed, nearly everyone agreed that player safety should always remain a priority. Former coaches often explained that physical basketball and dangerous basketball are not necessarily the same thing. Strong defense, legal contact, and aggressive rebounding have always been part of the sport. At the same time, every league works to reduce unnecessary risks that could lead to injuries. Finding the right balance is never easy, especially in games played at such incredible speed. Many analysts also pointed out that growing popularity naturally brings greater scrutiny. Years ago, a controversial regular season play might have received attention for a day before people moved on. Now, with social media operating 24 hours a day, discussions could continue for an entire week. Every replay reached millions of viewers almost instantly, creating endless opportunities for debate. This shift represented both a challenge and an opportunity for the WNBA. Increased attention meant more fans, higher television ratings, larger sponsorships, and greater recognition for players throughout the league. It also meant every decision, from officiating calls to league statements, would receive far more public examination than ever before. Meanwhile, veteran players continued emphasizing respect among competitors. Intense battles on the court rarely changed the mutual respect many athletes shared once games ended. Basketball is an emotional sport, and players understand that physical competition often creates heated moments. Most professionals leave those emotions on the court before focusing on the next challenge. Clark's response to adversity continued earning praise. Rather than becoming distracted by online arguments or media headlines, she concentrated on improving her game. Coaches admired her willingness to study film, identify mistakes, and make adjustments. Teammates appreciated her ability to maintain confidence regardless of outside criticism. As the Fever played more games, signs of progress became increasingly visible. Ball movement improved. Defensive communication became stronger. Younger players gained valuable experience against some of the league's toughest opponents. Every victory built confidence, while every defeat provided lessons for the future. Fans also noticed another important change. Conversations surrounding the WNBA were becoming broader than any single controversy. More people were discussing strategy, player development, coaching decisions, and playoff races. New audiences who initially arrived to watch Caitlin Clark gradually began learning about other stars across the league, discovering talented veterans and rising young players who had spent years helping the WNBA grow. Television analysts frequently highlighted this positive development. They argued that increased attention benefited everyone involved. Teams enjoyed larger crowds. Players gained greater recognition for their accomplishments. Sponsors invested more resources into the league. Young girls watching at home saw more role models competing at the highest level of professional basketball. Even so, controversial moments remained part of sports. Every major league experiences difficult officiating decisions, emotional rivalries, and passionate disagreements among fans. Basketball's fast pace guarantees that certain plays will always generate different opinions. What matters most is how players, coaches, officials, and the league respond moving forward. As another nationally televised game approached, excitement continued building. Fans wondered whether Clark would deliver another memorable performance. Opponents prepared detailed defensive game plans aimed at slowing Indiana's offense. Broadcasters promoted the matchup as another opportunity to watch one of basketball's fastest-growing stories unfold. Inside the Fever locker room, however, the focus remained remarkably simple. Win possessions, communicate on defense, take care of the basketball, trust teammates, ignore outside distractions. Those principles guided preparation every single day. Clark understood that every great athlete faces adversity. Championships are not won because a season unfolds perfectly. They are earned by responding positively when challenges appear. Every difficult game, every tough defensive matchup, and every controversial moment offered another chance to grow stronger both mentally and physically. Across the league, respect for competition remained constant. Players knew they were participating in one of the most significant periods in WNBA history. Interest in women's basketball continued reaching new audiences around the world. Every game represented another opportunity to showcase the skill, athleticism, and determination that had defined the league for decades. By now, one thing had become perfectly clear. The discussion that began with a single sequence on the court had expanded into something much larger. It had sparked conversations about officiating, player safety, league growth, media coverage, and the responsibilities that come with increased visibility. While fans continued disagreeing about specific plays, nearly everyone recognized that the WNBA stood at an important moment in its history. And with the season entering its next stage, even bigger challenges waited ahead. Playoff races would tighten. Rivalries would become even more intense. Every victory would carry greater significance. Every mistake would become more costly. For Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever, and the rest of the league, the story was far from over. As the season continued, one thing became impossible to ignore. The conversation surrounding the WNBA had changed forever. Every nationally televised game attracted millions of viewers. Every highlight spread across social media within minutes. Every controversial moment reached audiences far beyond the league's traditional fan base. Whether someone had followed the WNBA for years or had only recently started watching, there was no question that women's basketball had entered a new chapter. For Caitlin Clark, that reality meant every performance carried enormous expectations. There were nights when her shooting looked effortless, knocking down deep three-pointers that energized entire arenas. There were games when her passing reminded everyone why she had become one of the most exciting playmakers in basketball. And there were difficult nights when defenses forced her to adjust, reminding everyone that success at the professional level is never guaranteed. The biggest lesson from the controversy wasn't simply about one possession or one whistle. It was about how quickly public opinion can form in today's sports world. A few seconds of video can generate millions of views before the final buzzer even sounds. Headlines appear almost immediately. Fans rush to defend their favorite players. Critics offer strong opinions before every angle has even been reviewed. That is why context matters. Basketball is played at incredible speed. Players make split-second decisions while running, jumping, passing, and defending against the best athletes in the world. Officials must judge those same moments in real time. Coaches make adjustments with only seconds to react. The game is far more complicated than a single replay can fully capture. Throughout the debate, one positive outcome became increasingly clear. More people were watching the WNBA than ever before. Arenas continued setting attendance records. Television ratings remained strong. Merchandise sales reflected growing excitement around women's basketball. Young fans filled the stands wearing jerseys from many different teams, inspired by both established veterans and the league's newest stars. That growing popularity created opportunities for everyone. Veteran players who had spent years building the league finally received greater national recognition. Rising stars gained larger audiences for their performances. Teams benefited from increased media attention. Sponsors invested more resources into the sport. The entire basketball community began discussing the WNBA with an energy that had rarely been seen before. Caitlin Clark often found herself at the center of those conversations, but she was never the only story. Across the league, talented players continued delivering remarkable performances every single night. Veterans demonstrated why experience still matters. Young stars showed that the future of the game is incredibly bright. Competitive balance made nearly every matchup worth watching. For Indiana, the focus remained on building a winning culture. Every practice emphasized communication, discipline, and teamwork. Coaches reminded players that improvement happens through consistency, not headlines. One great game doesn't guarantee future success, just as one difficult night doesn't define an entire season. Clark embraced that mindset. She understood that every challenge presented another opportunity to grow. Physical defense forced her to become stronger. Aggressive opponents demanded quicker decisions. Close games taught valuable lessons about leadership and composure. Every experience added another layer to her development as a professional athlete. The same competitive drive existed throughout the league. Players like Alyssa Thomas had built successful careers through relentless effort, determination, and toughness. Those qualities helped shape the identity of the WNBA long before the latest wave of national attention arrived. The respect earned through years of hard work remained an important part of the league's foundation. As discussions about officiating gradually settled, attention shifted back to what mattered most: the basketball itself. Fans once again celebrated incredible passes, clutch shots, game-winning plays, and unforgettable performances. Rivalries continued growing. Playoff races became tighter. Every victory carried greater importance as teams battled for postseason positioning. Looking back, the controversial moment served as a reminder of how much the sport had evolved. Years earlier, a similar play might have disappeared from public discussion within a day. Now it became the subject of national debate because millions of people cared deeply about the outcome. That level of passion reflected the league's remarkable growth. The WNBA still faced important challenges. Like every professional sports league, it would continue working to improve officiating consistency, protect player safety, and provide the best possible experience for athletes and fans alike. Those conversations would continue well beyond a single season. But perhaps the biggest takeaway was this: People were watching. People cared. People debated every possession because the games mattered. That passion, even when opinions differed, demonstrated how far women's basketball had come. For Caitlin Clark, the journey was only beginning. Her rookie season represented the first chapter of what many believe could become an extraordinary professional career. Every game offered new lessons. Every challenge created new opportunities. Every success inspired another generation of young athletes dreaming of reaching the highest level. For the IndianaFever, the goal remained simple: keep improving, keep competing, and continue building toward long-term success. For Alyssa Thomas and every veteran across the league, the mission never changed. Compete with intensity, represent your team with pride, and fight for every possession until the final buzzer. And for the WNBA, the future appeared brighter than ever. More fans, more excitement, more unforgettable moments. The controversy eventually became another chapter in a much larger story. A story about a league experiencing unprecedented growth, athletes performing on the biggest stage of their careers, and millions of fans discovering just how exciting women's professional basketball can be. As the next game tipped off, the headlines from the previous week slowly faded into history. A new crowd filled the arena. Another national audience tuned in. The ball went up for the opening tip, and once again, the focus returned to the game itself. Because in the end, every season writes its own story. Every possession creates another memory. And the next unforgettable moment is always just one play away.